Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast. My name is Andy Spiteri, joined by Dakota Lasky. Dak, how are you on this fine evening tonight?
I don't know, not too bad. Just kind of been busy with work. It's already been a pretty eventful beginning to the year. That's an understatement, but been busy with work, busy with my other job, and also been, getting ready for our Mapping Metroid episode coming next week.
Yes, I don't want to give too much away because I do like kind of the surprise of playing Mapping Metroid. Although I think everyone who follows us already knows what game that we're going to be talking about. But I have a lot of thoughts about the area so far. I just got into I just got to the area, but I've been playing the game as a whole before then. I have a lot of thoughts on the game, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to next week's Mapping Metroid. I think that it's going to be fun, and probably isn't much of a spoiler to say it's a fantastic area that we're covering. So I'm really excited.
No, absolutely. It's from one of the best games in the series and one of the best areas in the game, as far as I'm concerned. So I think a lot of people will definitely enjoy it. If they don't know what the area is already, I think they'll definitely enjoy learning what it is and, revisiting that location with us.
And no points for guessing what it is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up next week. But today we're gonna try and fumble our way through and kind of pay homage to some of the greats that have really improvised in the world of Super Metroid speedrunning. Speedrunning is, of course, I feel like a really, really huge part of Super Metroid's legacy and why it's still as relevant even in 2021 as it is today. You know what? Even the last hour, I have tried to try my hand at some of the tricks and the techniques and stuff that a lot of these really skilled speedrunners use. And every time that I do, it just makes me really appreciate how talented these individuals are, because they make it look so easy. It's so fluid. It's so seamless. And I am fumbling my way trying to desperately press buttons and hold run and jump and shoot at the same time. And it just, man, it really makes you appreciate some of these guys. But today, Dak and I are going to be we're going to be talking about all of the common sequence breaks and techniques and stuff that these speedrunners use to, I don't want to say break Super Metroid, but push it to the boundaries and push it to the limits of what is possible within that game. So I'm definitely no speedrunning expert at all, Dak, but I've tried a decent amount of these and had some very little success with them, but I'm excited to delve into this world. It's something that we haven't really talked about before.
No, we haven't, and this is definitely one of my favorite aspects of Metroid games, especially the 2D Metroids, is the speedrunning aspect. Super Metroid in particular, I think is, one of the best speedrunning games ever, not just Metroid game. But yeah, for sure, it has so much of its legacy is built on the importance it has to speedrunning in general and just how good of a speedrun game it is. One of the reasons why it's always been my favorite is not only is it's a Metroid game and it's a lot of fun, it's a really well-crafted, well-designed game, and it's also, it has a pretty high skill ceiling, right? You can be really good at this game. It takes a lot of technical skill to be good at it, and it's also, most of these runs, when you start to get good at them, only go for about an hour, which is nice, because if you watch some other games, and you can speedrun so many other kinds of games, but you try to speedrun maybe an RPG like Paper Mario or Chrono Trigger.
Oh, God.
It takes 3 to 4, 5, 6 hours to complete one run. I've always liked the games that are a bit shorter. Super Mario 64 is obviously another classic example. And I remember spending a lot of time watching like Siglemic run Super Mario 64, and then I got into Super Metroid with AGDQ in 2014, and gave my try at a lot of these tricks. Trying, I even got a Super Nintendo off eBay, and because I didn't have one in college at the time, and was running Super Metroid with the actual pad, like off a small little CRT. Give it that old classic nostalgic kind of feel. And I guess it wasn't like nostalgic for me particularly because I didn't play it like that growing up. I didn't play Super Nintendo growing up, but it had that like classic retro feel to it, playing on the original CRT. Anyway, yeah, I've tried a bunch of these tricks. I would say majority of them, or like sequence breaks or techniques. That we kind of have a list of both here. And yeah, they're not easy for sure. I think every major technique, and even notable ones, even some of the slightly insignificant but still memorable or notable techniques are in this game pretty hard to do. They're not easy at all.
Yeah, I've spent the last 30 minutes trying to do like the most simple of these techniques. I want to circle back to something that you said though, because I think that is really important. Where like Super Metroid doesn't take forever to speedrun, and I really appreciate that. But what I kind of like doubly appreciate about that is, so a game like Ocarina of Time, for example, is a game that can be beaten. I think the world record is something stupid like 15 minutes, or like it's something crazy like that. But the way that they do that is they do the first dungeon, they get to the final, like the boss of the first dungeon, and then they use some kind of like glitch, and then they just like go straight to the last boss. And I always thought that was like kind of lame, because like you're just skipping like 90% of the game, whereas like in Super Metroid, like you do kind of, you do bend the rules of the world, but I feel like you never break them. Like it's just, you have to be really good in order to do all of these techniques. So like I appreciate the fact that like it's short, but it's not like, it's not cheap, you know what I mean? Like you can, it's not like you're exploiting some kind of random glitch and just skipping over 90% of the game. I mean, yeah, you're skipping over 90% of the game, but it's because you're so good that you don't have to actually go and do that. And I'm probably selling the people that like exploit the bug bottle glitch or whatever it's called in Ocarina of Time short, but like to me, this is just it's just a lot more exciting. Dak, I know that you said that you had gotten like really into Super Metroid speed racing from the 2014 race. What do you like? What is your memory of that?
Well, that's what I wanted to go to into in this episode, and that's like such a great race that I think anyone should really check out. The AGDQ 2014 Super Metroid 4-man showcase race, which was at the time I think like really like the biggest Super Metroid speed run that had been done. At these AGDQ events. This was when like Twitch was starting to like really get bigger, and esports in North America had really started taking a foot, and speedrunning was really not alongside like side by side, but in the same way was also growing a lot. And these big AGDQs were getting a lot of money and whatnot, a lot of viewership, and that's such a really good race. Highly recommended. Has Zost, Garrison, Ivan, and Krauser in that match. It's also commentated by Golden and Sinister One, who do some really, really good commentary for people who don't even know anything about Super Metroid whatsoever. Like I learned all about what I know about like Super Metroid speedrunning for the most part, initially from watching this race and listening to the commentators and all that. It's a really exciting race. Absolutely, highly recommended. I think it's the best race you could check out if you wanted to get into Super Metroid speedruns, because it has like the excitement, a big crowd, the drama, all the different players catching up, dropping behind, staying together, doing all the tricks, hitting some really hard stuff, failing here and there. And I mean, it's some at the time four of the best players at the game, and it's now 7 years later, which is crazy to me because it feels like not too long ago. But yeah, this is the video I would say that got me interested in speed running overall. I would say it's not even just in Super Metroid.
Right. And one of those names actually, Zost. I was kind of doing some research for today's episode, and I watched like on my lunch break today. I watched a video of him beating Super Metroid in 40 minutes, which is like astonishingly sick. Like that's just absolutely insane. Um, I've been watching a couple runs from guys like Oats and Goats and Behemoth, and like these guys, like they make it look like the Matrix when they're playing. It's just like reality bends and just distorts in order for these guys to do some of the things that they're doing. So, man, nothing but just absolute respect to these guys because it is not as easy as it looks, and they make it look easy, and that's their skill. But let's go down and let's talk about some of the exploits here and some of the tricks and techniques and sequence breaks that they use, and we'll kind of give our 2 cents and see if we if we've ever been able to perform them or not. I would say that probably the most common sequence break in Super Metroid is using the Mockball in Green Brinstar to get the super missiles early, and then you can just skip Spore Spawn altogether. So Mockball involves basically jumping, and then right as you're coming down, you got to press like down and whatever direction you want to go, and then you can like roll faster. You know what? I actually I think I've got this one down for the most part in certain areas, but it definitely took a long time. This is probably the easiest kind of technique to perform.
Yeah, this is I would say like when you first get into like speedrunning Super Metroid, other than maybe arm pumping, this is probably like the first thing that you learn like to do. Like if you're gonna learn speedrunning in Super Metroid, you got to know how to mockball like very efficiently. And I remember learning arm pumping because that's pretty easy. But mockballing, yeah, that's definitely a little more difficult because you have to time the transition into the morph ball, that like double tap real quick as you land. You got to hold jump and then do it like right at the right time. If the ball bounces, you morphed a little too early, and it allows you to, like you said, get into some of these like areas a little quicker, by those like rooms where the walls come down a lot faster because it gives you your normal running speed to your morph ball, which is slightly slower normally. So yeah, mock ball is a cool one. That took me a few days to get in like consistently. Probably took me like a day to like get down, and then like another day or two to like consistently do it without messing up. I'm probably like I'm so rusty at it. I probably couldn't do it at all now, but like
Yeah.
consistently. But yeah, this is like your basic bread and butter. Yeah, like your basic bread and butter kind of technique that you learn when you first start up speedrunning in Super Metroid.
Yeah, and actually, I want to circle back to something that you said before we continue with the mock ball. So, arm pumping. You've probably seen speedrunners do this when they're running. They'll have their Samus's arm cannon going up and then down and up and down, and like it pushes you ahead by a pixel when you do this, which doesn't seem like much, but over the course of an entire game, it does add up. But two things that I thought that I would point out that I just thought were funny is like if you if you go downhill and you arm pump, it actually brings Samus to a stop, and like you lose all the momentum. So it is harder, I think, than it seems, because like your inclination would just be to like mash LR 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 and like keep on going. But I was reading today, if you even screw up once, basically every single pixel that you've gained is like null because of the time that wastes with Samus losing her momentum, which is crazy to me. So man, again, it's so simple. It's simple looking, but yeah, it's not very easy. Um, but yeah, so back to the mock ball. There's two areas that I think are like kind of the main areas. The first is in Brinstar when you can get under the gates, and this is like one of the very first things that you do in the game. I think you're only like 5 minutes into the game. You get under the gates, you get up, and you get the super missiles early, and you can use it again in Norfair to get the ice beam early too, which is this one actually I think is like much harder because you have to mock ball like not like you have to mock ball in the same room. In the first room in Green Brinstar, you kind of have like you can jump up and then you transition through the doors, so you have a little bit more time to like let go of the jump button and then like get your fingers in position to like get the ball down. But like doing the mock ball in the gate room in Norfair is like really hard, and then you have to do it again to get out, and you have even less time. So like that yeah, it's pretty impressive to see people do it so like flawlessly. I watched a really good video. It was like a tutorial. I had to watch it again today because it's been so long since I tried it, but it's by a dude on YouTube named Steven Levins, and he gives a really good tutorial about how to do this, and I was pulling it off fairly successfully doing that after that. So shout out to Steven.
Yeah, I definitely remember spending a lot of time in Criteria just practicing the Mockball near the ship, just doing it over and over and over and over and over again, just trying to get the timing right, different jump heights, you know, different kinds of terrain, stuff like that. Because, as I said, yeah, that's like a very fundamental technique that you need to know. And it's a really cool one, too. It's a satisfying technique. That's one thing I love about all the different sequence breaks and techniques you can do in Super Metroid is that they're satisfying to do because they're cool and they're a little hard. So when you figure it out and get it down, it's rewarding. And it's like, wow, I figured that out. Like, that's awesome. And it doesn't like take too much. It's not impossible, but it does take a good amount of like work. And I mean, these speedrunners, they run these games for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every day. So like this basic stuff eventually becomes like second nature. So that mockball stuff I've always thought was really cool because it's like the one thing that you can do like at an early level in Super Metroid speedrunning that once you get it down, you're like, oh, I'm pulling it off just like the big boys, just like the pros. Making your runs look a little smoother. And it's a cool little trick you can show someone while you're playing, just making it a little smoother. So, yeah, cool trick.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm kind of basing the order that I'll go here off of a Behemoth speedrun that I watched earlier. But one thing, so his route is basically he'll go and get the super missiles. He'll go and get the ice beam. And then he will do something which is absolutely crazy. I just did this like I said about half an hour ago, but it took me so freaking long to do this. So the area in Red Brinstar, you've got all of the rippers flying back and forth, and there's 4 of them, and you're supposed to freeze them to use as platforms. Actually, I'm sorry, he does this before he gets the ice beam. But anyway, so basically what he does is he shoots up and he wall jumps upwards, and without freezing the rippers to use as platforms, and then like goes through there's a little like 2 tile opening that you have to shoot and fit through, and then wall jump off the edge of that and get up, and it's like absolutely ridiculously hard to do. I was doing it on my Switch and I totally spammed like the rewind feature, but I mean, wall jumping is a pretty crucial part of like Super Metroid sequence breaking, and I would say that I'm pretty good at wall jumping in general, but man, like this is like you got to be pitch perfect. So I finally did it, but that's with a big asterisk beside it because I cheated and just rewound on my Switch until I could like do it. And normally I would try and do it a couple times, but I was just like, nope, this is almost too much for me. So it's just a crazy precision timing. Again, they make it look so easy, but this is up there for me with like some of the absolutely harder techniques to pull off, at least like quickly. I think if you have enough time, you can certainly do it, but obviously the goal of these breaks is to finish the game as quickly as you can, and like, man, it took me just forever to be able to do this.
This is definitely another very memorable and iconic like sequence break from when I first started learning about Super Metroid speedrunning for me, because it is like such a tight window to get that wall jump at the top ledge there, and then the actual game, when you're not sequence breaking, you obviously are supposed to use the ice beam to climb the rippers and get up there. And then you can use super missiles to, destroy the rippers to at least make your initial climb up there a little easier. But yeah, it's tough. That's a really hard one. That's way harder than the Mockball. I remember spending hours trying to get this one, and I was doing it on the original SNES pad, right? I think eventually I started doing it. You were doing is playing on the Wii U, and then using the rewind. But even then, like, you can kind of keep trying it over and over again, because like if you miss that like jump, you can just hit the wall below and re-wall jump again. But fighting with Super Metroid's like floaty, sometimes weird like jump mechanics and like wall jump mechanics can be hard. It is such a tight window. Definitely requires a lot of practice. Very hard to do. I think that one even is more satisfying than the Mockball at times, because when you first like try to learn that, it takes so much effort and is, I don't know, I think one of the hardest things to do in the game when you're first starting out. So but also iconic because it's like this big, huge, like tall climb you got to do, right? It's like it's daunting. It's like Batman climbing out of the pit in The Dark Knight, right? Like, and when you get it, it's really awesome. So shout outs to the red jump there, but yeah, that's a hard one for sure.
It looks like just so sick when you can pull it off too. Like this looks so great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is probably one of the hardest things like that I've personally. It's probably the hardest one that I've personally actually done. The rest of them are obviously fairly hard, but like just with the timing, and I can get up to like I can get up to the top and not take out any of the rippers, but like really nailing that last jump kind of in the middle space there before the stupid brick comes back. That's the man. That's the problem.
That's the only problem I think, because the getting past the rippers and getting up there eventually becomes cake. Like that becomes second. That's nothing. It's getting that last bit right there into like hitting that like very like most bottom edge of the like edge of it, so you can just hit the peak of your jump, just get like the very first lowest most pixel of the edge, and then somehow get that and time that second wall jump enough and make it over. Yeah, stupid hard, really satisfying when you hit it though.
Yeah, I like I said, I finally did it, and I got up and I had got my power bombs and I was off to the races, and I'm like, okay, so I guess let's talk about quickly the routes that have been used traditionally to beat Super Metroid. The original route that everybody I think used for a long time for like the first like probably 10 years or so of speedrunning this game was Kraid, Phantoon, Dragon, Ridley, which is kind of like the route that the game intends you to do the bosses in order of. But most speedruns that I've seen have actually started off with Phantoon and then Ridley and then Kraid and then Dragoon. What I don't know. Have you like ever kind of tried to map it out, and which way did you go?
Um, so like I think I never really got too far into like speedrunning Super Metroid to really come up with my own route. I remember when I was into Super Metroid speedrunning, or at least more into it, like when I initially heard of it, and then the years following, yeah, it was the Kraid, Phantoon, Dragon, Ridley route. But you could also like be flexible. I definitely remember some runners not doing that necessarily. Like they might have done Ridley first before Dragon or whatever, or Dragoon, whatever, or above or Phantoon. Sorry, mixing them together. And so
I
like
keep on thinking Dragoon because of that PS1 game.
yeah, that's a like what was I'm thinking of Panzer Dragoon. I keep thinking of that game. I still got to play that.
Yeah.
The indie darling of 2020. I didn't play it. Anyway, I definitely know that there's been some mixture to the route a little bit here and there, but yeah, I remember that original like Kraid starting route from when I was playing it, and not so much starting with Phantoon. You know, like Phantoon, Dragon, Ridley, Kraid or Kraid Ridley. Not something that I've ever done, and should look into that more. I'm used to like going for the skipping spore spawn, getting the Kraid quick kill first, right? Like that's like what I initially remember. But I mean that makes sense, right? Like speed games are, speedrunning games evolve all the time. Even like some of the oldest games. Obviously, Super Metroid is, getting close to 30 years old, right? If not there already, essentially. And that's a game that is still evolving over the years. Past 20, 25 years later, a whole new route and multiple routes to play the game, either in any percent or, randomizers obviously take it to a whole new level as well. I like watching Super Metroid randomizers. Those are fun speedruns too. And that completely mixes things up. But, the Kraid starting route is the one that I'm the most familiar with.
Which makes like sense to me because Kraid is so like he's by far the easiest boss of the four. So like it makes sense to me that you would start with Kraid. But I guess like in terms of where you are in the flow of your game, like maybe Phantoon, if you can get there, does make sense. But I actually kind of think that like at the point in the game that you fight Phantoon on like a regular playthrough, I think that Phantoon is probably the hardest of the four. Just because he's hard to hit, he disappears. He takes like a decent amount of missiles to take down. It's very rare that you hit him all the time too, just because he's like phasing in and out of reality. Like you could maybe say that Ridley is harder, but I mean, by the time you get to Ridley in a normal playthrough, you probably have like, you probably have like 30 or 40 super missiles and like 100 plus regular missiles. So like, I don't feel like it's that challenging. At least to me, who's like a veteran of many Super Nintendo Ridley fight. But yeah, Dragon to me is like the hardest, or not Dragon is actually very hard if you fight him regularly and don't use the grapple beam. But Fantoon to me is like probably the hardest boss of the four when you like in the context of when you fight him in the game. So it kind of shocked me to see people go to him first.
Well, from my understanding, it seems like the Fantoon Ridley Kraid Dragon route is about 2 minutes faster than the original Kraid starting route, but it's harder. So it seems like it's more of like a more advanced route to go if you're a little more experienced. Though you can mix it up a little bit by going Fantoon Kraid Ridley Dragoon instead of Fantoon Dragon instead of Fantoon Ridley Kraid Dragon. Apparently that's only like 12 seconds slower, but it's a bit safer because you get I think you might get the speed booster a bit earlier. So yeah, it looks like I guess these routes. So the original route was like the route everybody did, where you start with Kraid. Then people figured out the harder but faster Fantoon Ridley Kraid Dragon route, right? Which I'm assuming is now obviously the way that these better speedrunners are, achieving the best times in like any percent, for example. But if you were still starting out with speedrunning Super Metroid, you'd probably still start with the original route and not go with Fantoon first.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that, I mean, one reason I think that I myself, I tried to go the Fantoon route. I don't know what I was thinking because I'm no good at it. But
right,
where I got hung up is one of the like really, I guess, common sequence breaks. I've seen it done two ways. But one of the common sequence breaks is to get over the lagoon right in Criteria right before the wrecked ship, where you have the missile in the center, and you would typically need the grapple beam in order to traverse this this big canyon, if you will, full of water. And I was right before we were recording. I literally probably spent like 30 minutes trying to horizontal bomb jump, and I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I watched a tutorial and I tried, and like I cannot do it. And they make it look again so easy, but I mean this basically involves like laying a bomb and moving over just slightly, going all the way to the right, coming back, your second bomb blows, then your third bomb sends you all the way over. I can like horizontal bomb jump like fine. I can continuously bomb jump fine, but I cannot do this at all. And like when you do the other route, I believe at this I did a speed run a couple months ago, and I went and got the speed booster, and I had that by the time that I was ready to enter the wrecked ship. So what I did was I just got my speed booster up. I think I short charged it, and then I was able to like literally just Shinespark right across the gap right to the other side, and then just kind of jump into the entrance to the wrecked ship. But obviously if you do the Fantoon route first, you don't have the speed booster, and like I could not horizontal bomb jump to save my life. It was almost embarrassing, and thank God for the rewind feature on the Switch.
Yeah, the rewind feature on the Switch and on the Wii U, like, and I mean even also in like Dolphin too, like that's something that I'm sure every speedrunner loves and makes use of as much as they possibly can. I sure would be.
I'd like, because if you miss, you're falling right into the water. You have no gravity suit. You just fall all the way down. You have to roll over. You have to bomb the bottom of the pillar and go right back up, and then jump and get back right into the center. It is not fun. So yeah, that, and I feel like horizontal bomb jumping shouldn't be harder than some of these other like things on this list. Like I've done some of the other things successfully here and there, but like if you paid me $1 million to horizontal bomb jump once, I could not do it.
Well, speaking of getting over those big bodies of water, there's that Shinespark, skip to get over that, right? Like you're trying to do the horizontal bomb jumps, but you can do the Shinespark skip, right? Using the Shark Charge for the Shinespark. Did you give that a try?
I did, and I was able to do that. I have done that, but you know what? I guess let's just talk about the short charging for the Shine Spark. I never really feel like I got it mastered. So I was also watching a tutorial on this today, and like this, I'm gonna call him like a scientist because that's what this dude was. But he had like a slow mo version of Super Metroid where he was showing frame by frame, and basically what you want to do is like when Samus is running, you need to then again hit the run button at a certain frame where Samus lights up. And if you do this once, you reduce the time it takes to shine spark. If you do it twice, it reduces it further, three times, etc. So I was able to do this, but I kind of feel like I just randomly hit a couple times and like there was no signs to it. Like I think that I got lucky, and then I jumped up and then shine sparked in the air, which is actually fairly easy, a lot easier than I thought that it would be. So I was able to do that one, but I feel like I never really understood how I did it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a trick that I would say is probably my favorite Super Metroid trick. Is doing the short shine spark and to get over the West Ocean, right? Which is that like
Yeah.
that big wreck ship entrance kind of area. So from what I learned, this was also in that AGDQ 2014 speed run, which the commentators go into. They call it the Ocean Fly. You do the short shine spark charge in the room beforehand. You quickly crouch, jump over, do the short jump, and then just as the shine spark's about to like run out, you shoot a missile across. You jump over, and then you like fly through like two huge rooms. I don't know if you saw like the video on how to do the Ocean Fly, but the Ocean Fly is my favorite Super Metroid trick because it involves that really tight like short shine spark charge, the quick jump. You fly through two rooms, following that missile to open the door ahead of you across the first jump, and then you go all the way across that big gap in the second one. And it was really sick to see the first time those racers do it in AGDQ. I mean, I was blown away because like the red Brinstar jump and the Mockball, those are cool tricks, but the Mockball, like they're extrapolations, I think, of stuff that I think are still pretty familiar. But this was a trick that I had no idea was even like possible. Like the crew, just being able to put that together and figuring that out. That's a trick that I remember spending the most amount of time on. Definitely, everyone look that up. It's called Ocean Fly, and it involves that short shine spark charge in the key hunter room just beforehand. Charging, jumping over that moat, and then going all the way over that gap. Absolutely awesome. Such a cool trick.
Yeah, it looks badass too if you can get it to like go right to the entrance of the wrecked ship. I can never do that. I get to the entrance of like the area right before the wrecked ship, so like I still have to jump over the scaffolding and stuff like that, which is easy. Like you can do that with some precise jumps, but man, if you can get that shine spark to go all the way across, like it looks so gangster. Like you look so cool doing it. But I know I've never been able to do that. But yeah, it's awesome, and you can use like some really cool, I guess like kind of horizontal, like basically they're diagonal shine sparks. In Meridia in particular, there's an area where you can like midair shine spark, but you're going up, but then the ledge where you need to do it sends you all the way up to the very top left, or no, top right of the room.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it seems like the common thread is like in the Super Metroid speedrun, like really the most expendable item is the grapple beam. Like nobody ever gets that, and it just seems like there's a lot of ways to like circumvent having to have the grapple beam. But yeah, there's some really cool like techniques with the shine spark that it's just absolutely nuts, like what people have come up with and how they've again like manipulated this technique to bend the game to their will. But it's not like they're like breaking the game's rules. It's just they're thinking of the physics in ways that nobody really thought or intended. So it's very, very cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're applying their knowledge of the game and how the engine works, right? They're not like breaking how it works. They're just using how it works to, I guess get maybe ways the developers didn't necessarily intend them to get to things or quicker or get to them at all and stuff like that. So That's what I like about it. Though I also, going back to like the original point with Zelda, I appreciate being able to do that harder stuff, like the entire game skipping glitches. I think that's just a different skill entirely. But Super Metroid still, all these techniques. I mean, these sequence breaks are certainly not easy to do, but they are really awesome to watch. I think that's one of the awesome things and the best parts about them is that they look really cool.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Let's go back to Norfair here for a quick second, talking about the speed booster, and the big bubble room in Norfair where you get you're not supposed to be able to access it, but I've done this a few times where like either there's some kind of flying enemy and I can't remember which one it is, but you can shoot him with ice and kind of use him as a platform, or you can just really use your wall jumps to a really like you have to be very very precise. But I feel like it's a little bit more forgiving than the red wall and red Brinstar. And you wall jump up the bubble wall, and once you get up there, you can go and get the speed booster early and kind of again circumvent all the long way around that you would normally have to go to get here. I think I actually tried this like fairly. I tried this before I even knew that Super Metroid was a thing, or like speedrunning in Super Metroid was a thing. Like I was just like, I know how to wall jump. Maybe I can get up there using wall jumps. And like, I this is one that I can do somewhat regularly, I would say, but it still is like very very precise, very hard. But like I said, more forgiving, I think, than the red wall.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely isn't as hard to do, especially because you can just freeze. I forget what they call those, the shell flying things. Jesus, I should be able to remember what they're called. But you're able to freeze enemies, right? And essentially make that jump a lot, well, actually, yeah, a lot easier than it, probably normally would be. But you obviously have another tight window to try and get on there, right? Like that's again another satisfying jump, not as difficult as the red wall jump, but you also have like the cack attack at the top, right? That's what those things are called. The green
Yeah.
needle shooting thing. That I remember so many times when I first tried, because I was doing all these tricks and whatnot over, you know, senior year of college, like in my house, right? Just like spending hours grinding this stuff out. I remember spending a lot of time like making the jump, but then like I'd get like hit by that and I have to fall back down or something. It's a pretty solid trick to be able to pull off, but you have like a bunch of enemies to deal with, but at the same time, not as hard with compared to the red wall jump. But a really cool one too, because it's a big jump, and then you look like what make it's like a you just barely get over. But you're right, it's something that I think a lot of people probably try. Or maybe not a lot of people, but some people might have tried like before they even knew it was like a thing, right? It's just like, oh, this is like this wall. Like, can I jump to that? Can I try to get a little higher by wall jumping? I think everyone tries those things. I'm sure there are a lot of breaks and tricks and sequence breaks, whatever, that people might have like unknowingly tried or got close to trying, just because that's like the nature of like the game sandbox, right? Is, oh, there's a bunch of walls, I can wall jump. Let's see how much I can wall jump here. Let's see if I can pull this off. Let's see if I can get higher in this room and that room. Growing up playing Metroid, I did that in every Metroid game. I tried that in almost every room, was seeing how high up, a lot, maybe not every room, but in a lot of rooms, seeing how high up I could get up to a certain place and seeing if I could jump somewhere off of a wall. I don't think I ever tried like something equivalent to like the red wall jump, but maybe like the bubble jump I definitely did. And yeah, a cool jump when you can pull it off for sure.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of power ups. Like the pink room in Brinstar has a missile, I think, that you're only supposed to be able to get once you get the grapple hook. And like, that's one of the ones where like you could just wall jump straight up and get it. There's a lot of different rooms. There's a room in Meridia that has like an energy tank, and I think it's got those turtle dudes too that help you out.
Yeah.
That you can just wall jump up and get. So like, yeah, it's a cool jump. It's not as hard because it's like less jumps and you have to be less in the red wall. You kind of have to be like short with your jumps, and in this one you have to be really long and push them for everything that they are and hit it at the right spot. So
Yes.
it is cool to pull off. One of the first ones that I ever did. Let's we kind of mentioned it earlier, but maybe we'll just talk about it for a quick sec. One thing that always just like boggled my mind when I saw it was like when people fought Kraid and they killed Kraid in like 20 milliseconds, and I was like, my boy just got he just got embarrassed. But this is actually like decently easy to pull off, I think. Doing the quick kill, you jump up and you plaster him with like I think it's like 3 or 4 super missiles right as he's rising, and then he just falls straight back. This one blew my mind when I first saw it, but I think that this is now like it's not a sequence break by any means, but it is one of the techniques that like saves you a lot of time and makes you feel really cool like when you do it.
Yeah, definitely not like a sequence break, but it's something that it always made me laugh because Kraid like has like he comes out of the ground, he has his theme start up, and like as just as quick as he comes out of the ground, he gets melted, and the boss fight's over. Like, oh, that's it. Whenever you're watching a Super Metroid speedrun, Kraid he jobs really quickly, just in and out, gets his paycheck, and that's it, and he's done. So I always thought that was funny. Yeah, this is a fairly, I would say, relative to the rest of the game, a fairly easy technique to pull off. It's more of one of those, once you know about it and how to do it, you get the hang of it.
Uh-huh.
Whereas like other techniques, you learn about them and you got to practice them a lot, and they take a lot of like technical prowess and know-how and all of that, and a lot of practice. This one definitely takes some practice, but it's more of like you find out about it and then you apply it. It's not something that takes like a huge mountain to climb to really figure it out, but it is certainly something you need to know how to do, right? It's not something it's a fundamental, it's a basic, it's a bread and butter. You got to be able to know how to do it. And a cool thing about it is that there are many different ways to set it up, right? Like you can do different amounts of like super missiles and missiles, being able to conserve some super missiles here and there, like start off with the charge beam. You can like set yourself up on that ledge using like a morph ball. So there's a bunch of different ways to set it up and actually execute it depending on how you want to do it. And but yeah, it's definitely one that it's one of the funnier moments in a Super Metroid speedrun, because he just gets absolutely blasted, absolutely decimated, quicker than I think any other boss that you have to fight in the game. So poor Kraid does not show
I
much.
wonder if there is a boss that can be beaten quicker than Kraid in the
think
entire
so.
Metroid series. I don't think so. That he's got to be just bottom of the rung.
Well,
Oh,
maybe
my
in the
boy.
whole series. That's actually a good question. Maybe someone can, if someone knows the answer to that, I could find it out. Like, who is the boss that can be the fastest beaten in the entire franchise? Is it Kraid in Super Metroid, or is it someone else? That I'll give a prize to, if someone can find that out.
Please
for
tell
me
me it's someone else.
with evidence. If someone can prove to me that there's who the fastest boss kill is in Metroid. Though I'm sure it might even just take a Google search. I'm sure I could look it up, but I don't know. Someone let us know on Twitter, because I'd love to know. I think that's interesting.
I actually did see someone body Fantoon once in it had to be like 5 or 10 seconds. It was insane how quickly he beat Fantoon. Like I felt like maybe something went wrong, because he like came up and immediately died, and it was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Fantoon also dies quickly too. Yeah.
If you get, well, I think Fantoon has some he has some RNG to him, so depending on what pattern you get,
Yeah.
he can be tough or he can be easy.
You can get like a simple
But,
pattern,
yeah.
you get the harder pattern. Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's talk about another boss. Let's talk about Ridley. And before we talk about the actual fight, I want to talk about getting to Ridley's lair, because I see a lot of people, especially on the Fantoon Ridley Kraid Dragon route, obviously get there without the space jump, which is pretty mind-boggling to me. There's 2 ways that I've seen it done. I think one way is a lot cooler than the other way, but I think that one way is also a lot easier than the other way. So the first way you can get there is like the gravity jump, and that is where you basically perform some trickery. You jump and then press pause and unequip your gravity suit, and then Samus just kind of like floats up to the top of the screen. And this only works if you're in lava or if you're in water. This is pretty effective, but I don't think it's like super cool, because this is one of the ones that to me is kind of like the Ocarina of Time glitch that I was talking about, where it's like it feels like something that you're not supposed to be able to do, versus like kind of exploiting the game. I mean, even though this is obviously an exploitation of the game, it feels a little bit different, like less. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Maybe like it takes like less skill to
Less
actually perform
flashy.
this technique. Yeah, I don't know. Like I can do this technique, and I feel like if I can do it, then anybody can do it. So
Uh, th-
it feels like more of an exploit of the game's code rather than like a really skilled speedrunner, and only that really skilled speedrunner can do this trick.
I don't know.
Maybe it's not. It's probably not though.
I mean, like, I think that kind of stuff is still like, just because you might be able to pull it off like while like practicing once, I think it's important to be able to pull it off consistently in a run, right? Like when it matters. So, and that's where
Yeah, that's
that's
true.
what separates the good from the great, right? Because it's not like I've been able to do like Ocean Fly or the Red Brinstar wall jump, but it doesn't mean I can do them consistently in like a record pace run, which is what's important.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I hate to like I hate to diminish like these things, and I never know quite how to put it because like it's absolutely impressive that anybody can do a gravity jump or like can bottle skip an Ocarina of Time. To me, like the style of the style of speedrunning that I really like, and I'm not a speedrunning guy except for really Super Metroid, but the style that I like is kind of like the sequence breaking and just like really skilled, like exploiting your world without kind of having to pause the game and do some other like shenanigans like that. But yeah, I definitely don't mean to disparage it. It's pretty cool, and it's a really cool effect. Like you literally just like float right up. You can use it in Meridia, I guess, if you need to. But I've mainly seen people use it to like get into Ridley's lair way early.
Yeah, I think all kinds of exploits and glitches and taking advantage of certain things in the game. I think all have their place and all have are all appealing in their different ways and all of that. I mean, if you think about like Metroid Prime speedruns, for example, that has a lot of like clipping and glitches and all that, and you get out of like the actual rooms and you're jumping out through the walls outside of the game. And that takes a lot of like breaking the game literally, but it still can be appreciated and is really cool and fun. So I think all of this stuff's really hard. I definitely because and not only that, someone had to figure it out too, right? That's not always easy, and then having to
Mm-hmm.
practice it and do it really often. So anyone that can do that, definitely respect that because it takes a lot of time and it's not fun all. Like it might be cool to go on the stream and see someone do an awesome world record attempt and hit it or whatever, but that attempt came after I'm sure hundreds if not like thousands of attempts running this game over and over and over again, reset over reset over reset, trying to get it down. So a lot of time and a lot of lonely hours put into getting it right. So no matter what kind of trick it is, it's not something to make little of because it takes a lot. And if it was easy, I'm sure anyone would do it, but not everyone does.
That's very true. That's very true. So no shade, but it's not the kind of trick that I personally am as excited about. But one thing that I did see, which I was just like, what did I just watch? Was the race I was watching today. Both Behemoth and Oats and Goats pulled this off just absolutely flawlessly. Where they short charged, they got a Shine Spark, they dropped down, and I forget what the thing is called. It looks like a xenomorph. The aliens in the walls that just shoot you. While charged, they had the xenomorph shoot them with fire. They fell diagonal until they were at the exact right spot. Shine sparks straight up, and then got into Ridley's lair. It was like the most bonkers thing I've ever seen. It was so cool. I had never seen it before actually until not that long ago when I watched this. I thought that it was just like really cool. No way in hell I could pull this off. I tried, wasn't happening. So man, just like major props. You have to be absolutely pixel perfect to do that, and it looked just like really awesome.
Another thing that looks really awesome, and I didn't see it on your list, so I'm curious to. I'm wondering if you even know what it is, or like had maybe come across it watching one of the runs or in research. But the blue suit in Super Metroid that you can get. I don't know if you read about that, but that was always one of my favorite little glitches in the game, which is like a shine spark storage system essentially, right? You get the
Yeah,
blue suit after shine sparking into Dragon at the end of the fight, and something that is very important for a bunch of people's runs because they'll use it to store a shine spark that they'll use later to get back out of Meridia or the wreck ship or whatever. And and continue their run instead of jumping all the way around and taking more time to get out. So that's always something I thought was really cool, and a really cool thing I think just in general in Metroid. I'm sure it's just a glitch, obviously not really like intentional, but the Shine Spark storage here you get out of the blue suit glitches I always thought really cool, and it looks cool too.
Yeah, you're right, and yeah, I did miss that on my list, but and it is a really cool one. And every time that I've seen the blue suit done, it's been in the Dragon fight, and like it's pretty wild to see because like obviously people don't get the grapple beam typically in a Super Metroid speedrun, so like I think without the grapple beam, Dragon is like one of the hardest bosses in the game. And for a speedrunner, like if he snags you and brings you up to the top, yeah, you're toast because that takes forever for him to finally let go. And he beats the hell out of you while you're up there too. Like he hits really, really hard. So it's a tough fight. But like, yeah, to see these guys just like literally Shine Spark ram him right in the face, or maybe her, I don't know.
I was gonna say Dragon has a bunch of
I think she's a mama.
babies flying around, so I think it might be Mama.
I think it
Dragon.
might be Mama Dragon.
Yeah.
But to Shine Spark right into Mama is just like it's brutal and it looks like so cool. So yeah, that's a really cool trick too, and like you said, probably essential for beating Dragon and not having it take forever, and for traversing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a cool one. Although I don't know. I mean, I don't really understand a lot of these, but I think I should probably research that one more because I get how it works, but I also probably don't at the same time, which probably applies to my entire understanding of this list.
Right.
You know what? Actually, which is funny, I learned today. I did not know this until today that you could lure Ridley to one side of the platform and he would pogo, but he pogos in place and like he doesn't hit you, and you can just safely like blast away at him. I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah, I think that sounds familiar to me. Not something that I've abused in game myself. I have never been able to beat Ridley as easily and quickly as speedrunners are able to, especially as cleanly and not getting hit like they do.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I've never tried that. But I do remember hearing about that. There's a bunch of things. I think all the bosses in this game have either like something you can manipulate or some kind of like RNG pattern you have to deal with, right? Like the Fantoons. Like
Yeah. Two skips left. One of them that I thought was really cool. I think that there's a proper name for this, but I probably just butchered it. But I put the Baby Metroid skip where you're down in Torian, and at this point in the game, the Baby Metroid, who is now a Super Metroid, is coming to suck all of your energy, which obviously takes time for the cutscene, and then you got to go and refill all your energy after if he hits you. So one of the cool things that I've seen is like people literally just jumping around him and not allowing them to get eaten by the little Baby Metroid. I've never really actually tried this myself, but I feel like I should, because I feel like this one is one of the ones that maybe once you get the timing down could be a little less challenging than some of the other ones. But it still is like just super cool to see people like they're making a mockery of the old Baby Metroid and just saying not today, sorry. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, this is again for me something that like I think I've done once or twice, and then I was like, all right, I did it. Like I've accomplished that goal, and that's it. It's harder than it looks. I think like you don't realize how much like space the Baby Metroid takes up in the room. Like it's big,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not the only one in there with the Baby Metroid either. So it's not as easy as it looks. It requires you to shoot a little bit so you can get the right path, and you do like a loop around the Metroid, kind of like as it chases you in a circle around the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely hard, but it's a cool trick, and I definitely remember that AGDQ 4-man showcase race. The crowd pops off when whoever was in the lead, I believe, gets that skip through. I think someone gets caught up in it and has to go through the whole cutscene and whatnot. So it's a big, a huge part of that run because it's such a time saver to get around the Baby Metroid. To not get it can make or break the run. So a really, really cool skip. Obviously, it's a major moment in the actual Super Metroid story, So to like just outright skip it, and not only that, but just do it by just jumping around and not like glitching through a room or making sure it doesn't trigger, right? Like you're just avoiding contact and, against something that's so huge. Really cool skip. I also know you can like, I believe there's a key hunter or something like that in the same room or the room previous. I think in that room that you can like, if you can't avoid the Super Metroid or like the Baby Metroid, I know some people will like intentionally take damage against that enemy in there, so that way when the Baby Metroid like find Samus it doesn't take as long to
Yeah.
suck out all the energy, right? Instead of waiting for all your energy tanks to go down. But yeah, another really cool trick takes advantage of a player's ability to move around in the game, which is something that needs to be mastered. It's a really solid trick.
And very, very, I'm sure, satisfying
Mm-hmm.
to avoid that big guy. Last really cool trick in the game, as far as I know, I'm sure that there's a million more, but one of the ones that I thought was like really, really cool and really saves you a lot of time and especially missiles is the Rinka skip in Mother Brain's kind of lair. Um, I didn't know this until I researched it a couple months ago, but like, so the little bars, the red bars that you shoot in Mother Brain's lair, they're only populated one at a time. So when you destroy one, the red bars on the black bar behind you are then populated, and so on and so forth. So if you can skip the first one, then the other ones are never populated, and you can just go straight to Mother Brain, which I thought was like very, very cool. But man, this looks like a really, really hard skip. I've never tried it, but it looks insane. Like, so basically, you have to freeze a Rinka, like one of the flying circles or whatever. You have to freeze it in the exact right spot, take damage in the exact right spot, morph over in the exact right spot. This is like, again, they make it look easy, but this one looks just like stupidly hard to perform. And another one of those ones where like you just got to be like frame perfect. So really, really, really impressive to see people do this. And like it probably can't be overstated on like a speed run where you're obviously not getting very many missiles or super missiles. How like important this actually is in saving you that, because I think like each one of those gates takes a couple super missiles to destroy. Times four is that's a lot of super missiles. You're probably using charge shots at Mother Brain by that point, and like that's, time wise that's a kiss of death. And like when you're speed running, you only have about, the best players will only have about three, maybe four energy tanks, and that can be a literal kiss of death too, which obviously ruins your whole run. So really, really cool skip to watch,
Right.
and it happens so fast.
I don't think I've ever done it before. It looks difficult. I don't think I got far enough in my practice to. I was like, I'm working on these other tricks. I haven't even got to this part of the game yet. So, but I've always liked like damage boost involving tricks, and Super Metroid has a lot of them. You're right, especially in like the any percent category, but in a bunch of categories, a lot of these runners don't have a lot of energy or a lot of energy tanks. So every moment and every little bit of health counts, especially when you need some of that health to like boost you farther in some situations. Damage boosting is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I've even joked that that's like a thing in Smash sometimes, like intentionally getting hit to go off stage like that. But yeah, like that's where I learned of like damage boosting is from Super Metroid speedrunning, like to intentionally take some damage to use that knockback to send you further or through something. And this is a great example of it. It's again someone figuring out like what can I do when I get hit by this up against this and when I'm doing this, right? Which is I think so much of what speedrunning research and figuring out things is, right? Is like shoving yourself against some kind of edge or corner or wall and trying to put a bunch of factors and effects together to get you somewhere new. This is definitely a cool exploit. It's a hard one. I'm not sure how hard it is in context of everything else because I don't think I've consistently ever done it myself. So maybe that means it is harder, but I also think I practice the other ones more. And like I focus more on like the red wall jump and the ocean fly and mockball. Still really cool skip though. I think more of a mark of a more experienced runner probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, this looks to me this looks insanely hard. But you know what? Frankly, all of this stuff is insanely hard. And to anyone out there that can do any of it at all, hats off to you. Even the most basic thing on this list is really hard to do. So I've always been fascinated by speedrunning and Super Metroid, which is strange because I'm not really a fan of speedrunning in general, but man, something about this game is just really, really fascinating and really, really engrossing to me about how like they can bend the game to their will and just maybe it's because I'm so familiar with this game, but man, I remember the first time playing it. This took me 17 hours to beat. Obviously, my time's a little bit better than my time's a little bit better than that now. But I mean, on a good run, I'll probably beat this game in 3 hours or something like that. And to see 40 minutes is just like absolutely mind blowing. So yeah, I mean, shout out to all the runners out there, and thank you for finding all these tips and tricks and techniques and breaks for us to talk about today.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely recommend like looking up Super Metroid speedrunners, checking out, their streams on Twitch, looking up like their speedruns on, SRL, Speedruns Live. They have a bunch of stuff there. I think, you've mentioned like Behemoth, Oats. I'm sure there are a bunch of new and old faces around. I definitely, again, got to recommend the AGDQ 2014 4-man showcase race. I think that's my favorite. Aside from, because I honestly, Super Mario 64, Super Metroid, these are like some of my favorite speedrun games of all time. You can't go wrong with them. But this is like my favorite single video. Oh, Donkey Kong 64, I also love watching speedruns of that. And Mirror's Edge too. Anyway, that race, that AGDQ 4-man race, is so exciting. The crowd is there. It's like, it feels like it's like esports, right? Like that's honestly the video where people thought like speedrunning was really gonna like take off, and it did from there. Speedrunning has grown a lot since then, but like it had that like esports hype to it. It was so exciting. The crowd is going crazy. The commentators are amazing, informative, and entertaining. The players are some of the best that were at the time and probably ever will be, and really killed it in a really exciting race. I can't recommend it enough. I really hope you all go and check that out as soon as you possibly can. And it's what inspired me to really get more into speedrunning, or at the very least appreciate the speedrunning aspect of games a lot more. So I think you'll definitely enjoy it if you go check that out.
Yeah, for sure. And just marvel at some of the stuff that you see, because I'm sure you'll see some crazy stuff. That's it. We are out of here. Like we were teasing at the beginning of the show, we've got some mapping Metroid going on next week, so I need to do a horizontal bomb jump, because I'm not giving up until I do one tonight. But then I need to go and finish the area and really complete my notes so that we can dig deep and get into it next week, and really, peel back all the different layers of this area. I keep on wanting to give it away, but I'm not going to. But yeah, that's next week. Thank you guys for checking us out today. We're not speedrunning experts, but we hope that we were able to at least kind of entertain you with some of our speedrunning stories, and maybe even inform a listener or two out there. And hopefully inspire you guys to go and check out some of these races. So, yeah, until then, check us out over on Twitter. We are at Omega Metroid Pod. I am at Spateri316, and Dak is at DakCity_. Check us out over on Podbean, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Like and subscribe to Omega Metroid, and give us a 5-star review too if you think that we've earned it. We'd really appreciate that. We are out of here, but we will see you guys next week. Until then, #save the animals.